right, the word's officially out. 2022, we still have a lack of inventory in the US housing market. And so today I want to just give you another little piece of, I guess, a tip or some value that you might want to consider in this market. And I'm mainly talking to anybody that currently owns a home and you need to sell that home in order to go and purchase a new home. I refer to this as a move-up seller. And for a move-up seller, I want to introduce what's called a post-closing possession, AKA a leaseback. So we're going to talk about on this video what it is, when you might want to use one, how to use one, and kind of apply that to a real world scenario with a current client that I have currently at this moment. So without further ado, let's jump on into this video. This is something you might want to be considering when you're making a move in 2022. So listen up. All right, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Jordan Pyle. I'm your go-to Chicago realtor, servicing the city of Chicago, buyers, sellers, and investors for the last 8 years. And I love what I do every single day. And part of that is bringing great education to you and resources as you navigate the real estate market so that you can make the most educated financial and real estate decisions possible. So with that being said, I have a link down below. It's called a real estate strategy call. Feel free to reach out. That is a Zoom call where we can talk about your goals, where you're at, where you're looking to go, and how we can formulate a plan and a strategy together to get you from where you are to where you want to be. So would love to offer that value to you for free, no obligations whatsoever. Feel free to just click the link below to schedule that real estate strategy call. And also, if this has been helpful for you, please do me a favor and like this video, comment any additional questions down below, and be sure to hit the subscribe button before you take off from this video. So on to the video. All right, so post-closing possession, AKA a leaseback. You might hear this interchangeably. I like to refer to it, it's just a little bit more formal as a post-closing possession, but ultimately it means the same thing. So as I mentioned, I want to run you through a situation with a current client of mine and actually apply this to that situation. And so you can kind of see when and why you might need to use a post-closing possession and why this is going to benefit you if you are a move-up seller. So let me break down what that is real quick. So this is mainly in my client in this example is somebody that I helped purchase a home a couple years with. They are now outgrowing the space. They want some suburban life instead and a different feel. They're currently downtown in the city. So we're going to be selling their property. We actually have it under contract and we were able to execute what I'm getting ready to talk to you about, which is the post-closing possession, in order to help them get from where they are to where they want to go. And the reason for that is because they now are looking for another home in the suburbs. So I'm helping them on the sale and managing that, and then also helping them on their purchase. But they need the sale to go through and to take the proceeds, the net proceeds from that sale, in order to apply those to the purchase and the down payment on the next home, right? So it's basically what you would consider a contingent offer at this point. Until this deal closes on the front end, which is their current residence, they will have to make a contingent offer on their next purchase. So what we're gonna talk about is a post-closing possession or a leaseback and how this might be able to benefit you and benefit all parties involved. So let me give you the situation. So we basically said, when I was advising my sellers, like, hey, let's price this either right at fair market value or even slightly under, taking a pulse of the market, understanding that, hey, we're in 2022, we were kind of waiting to see how the year would start. And the second week of January, it started going bonkers like we expected. Just so much buyer demand. We're starting to see interest rates jump up. So at this point, we're starting to see a lot of these buyers flood the market. And that makes obviously selling a little bit easier, especially if you have a nice property. This example is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in a very popular neighborhood, great school district, about 1,600 square feet, which is a good size, really nice finishes. The photos looked really good, and we were at a nice competitive price. So what we were able to do is, what I advised them is, hey, let's get this under contract as quickly as possible with the best terms and the best price. So in a perfect world, you know, in this type of situation where you're moving, price is important, but also something that's incredibly important are the terms. And what I mean by the terms are things like earnest money, you know, when is the mortgage contingency, right? So when's that drop dead date of when the buyer basically needs to secure funding? So worst case scenario, if something falls apart, it's not going to jeopardize the deal on the other end, right? So all these things we want to really shore up when we're thinking about considering an offer or accepting an offer. Things like the closing date, obviously, you know, is there a post-closing possession? And we'll talk about that. And all these different things that are basically going to try to make the buyer's offer on your current property as strong as possible so that you don't risk blowing everything else up on your purchase for your new home if something on your sale goes sideways. So they agreed. They said, hey, that's exactly what we want. You know, we have 2 little kids. We don't want to essentially be moving from one place to another. They just didn't want to basically sell a property, have to move somewhere temporarily. They could if they had to, but ideally we're timing these up so that they're closing on their current home and then they're closing on their next home on the exact same day, 1 in the morning, 1 later in the afternoon. So what I told them is, hey, in a perfect world, we're gonna get you a great price, which we did, and I'll talk about that, but we're also gonna get you good terms. And I wanna make sure all those terms that we just discussed are shored up as much as possible to benefit us as the sellers of the property. So what happened? We got ready to hit the market through our different resources, such as having really good photography from a professional photographer, having those photos back well in advance of going to the market so that we can shop that and market that as a coming soon listing or a pocket listing. There's something about having something that is not yet available to the public. So we like to have all the professional photography, basically having it list ready about 3 to 5 days before actually going onto the live market or the MLS. So we executed all that. We were able to get a few people in beforehand before we actually listed the property. And then the day that we listed, we had a couple people reach out from seeing this on the private listing network and the top agent network. And if you have any questions about that and how that could benefit you as a seller, feel free to reach out. Not everybody has access to all this, the top agent network, which I'm referring to. That's only 10% of the agents in the city of Chicago. Luckily, our team has that ability to access it. Which is basically going to find you some pocket listings and off-market listings. But nonetheless, we were able to get people through. Every single person liked it, which we knew they would. We knew we were priced to sell. So what ended up happening? So we thought we were going to get 2 offers, literally the day that we listed it. And we ended up getting one really, really strong offer. Like, they saw the property, they came through, and they loved it. So this is where the post-closing possession comes in hand. So we were able to say, they were like, hey, we know it's competitive. We know there's probably gonna be multiple offers. So what do your sellers want? And we're gonna try to give you exactly what that is. So I told them, and I said, hey, in a perfect world, we feel we're priced to sell. So on the pricing side of things, we feel like we're confident there. So we need at least asking price. If obviously the more the merrier. But more importantly, we want to make sure that we have a 30-day close. And listen up, this is the whole part of this video. So this is how this went down. I said, most importantly, price is important, but most importantly is that we get our closing timeline and a post-closing possession incorporated into this transaction. So I said, we need to basically, we can do whatever price you want to offer. Hopefully it's listing price or higher to be competitive, but we want to basically have a 30-day close, a standard closing, but then we want to lease back the property for 60 days at $3,000 a month. Right? So basically what that means is they're gonna close on that property. The new buyer is gonna close on that property in 30 days, and then they're gonna basically allow the current seller, the one that's on the way out, to occupy that property in what's called a leaseback possession, or sorry, a leaseback or a post-closing possession. So, and they agreed, hey, we're gonna pay you $3,000. And I've seen it done in different ways. Sometimes there's a set number that the parties agreed to, but if there isn't, typically the sellers that are selling the property are gonna pay the new buyers, right, the new owners of the property during that leaseback period. They're gonna pay them essentially their new PITIA, or basically what their monthly mortgage payment is. They're gonna pay that to them, basically to rent the property from them. So then what will happen is, upon that 60 days, after that's over, then those sellers are gonna move out, and then the buyer, the new owner, is gonna have a chance to conduct a final walkthrough on the property and make sure everything's in the condition they expect it. A lot of times there's some money that's held in escrow to ensure that when they vacate the property, they're not gonna leave it completely trashed, because at this point they've already closed on the property. So that's the only form of liability. So, not to bore you, but what does this do now for my clients, the sellers? This allows them, and on the other side of things, I don't want to forget to mention this, is my clients are concerned that if we sell too quickly, then we're not going to be able to find something on the other end because inventory is tight on the other end. So they're in this, like I said, this double-edged sword situation or scenario where it's great for them to have no inventory when they're selling, but then when they're trying to buy a property, it's a hard thing. So that's why we wanted that 60-day post-closing possession. Because now, after 30 days, so in 30 days from today, if we went under contract today, my clients are now going to be free and clear. They have those net proceeds out of the current sale, and now they're going to be able to go and make a stronger offer on the purchase, because now they don't have to write the offer with a contingency, which is the home close contingency. Now, there's a situation or a chance that they may find a home in 2 weeks after going under contract, and then they do have to write that initial offer with the contingency, but then explaining like, hey, we're closing in 2 weeks. Once we do, there will no longer be a contingency on this closing, and then everything moves forward. But if they are able to sell in 30 days, now they have basically, after 30 days, they can be fully closed on the property. Now they have an additional 60 days to be able to find that next property and close on it before the post-closing possession expires, right? So now they have a typical closing timeline is 30 days. So now they give themselves about 60 total days, worst case scenario, to look for a new property in the situation that knowing that inventory is tight and they don't want to go rent. And so what we do typically is we do set them up on a rental search as well, because the most important thing is to get their equity out of their current sale. And there's no reason to not move forward with this process because of the fear of the complication of this. So basically, the reason that we step in as realtors, I would not advise you to try to negotiate one of these on your own, but as a realtor and having a realtor on your side, this is a tool or like a little helpful piece of advice and some different leverage that you can kind of use in this hot market when you're a seller in order to capture basically the right terms in order to make your sell and then your new purchase as simple and as efficient as possible. So I hope that made sense. Just to kind of summarize and to highlight, again, a post-closing possession is basically saying that we're gonna close in 30 days at an agreed upon price, but then the current seller is gonna lease back the property from the new owner at agreed upon price for an agreed upon term, right, or duration. And then from that point forward, typically that will exercise, they'll close on time within that 30 days or whatever the closing date is, and then that seller will then stay in the property, and then at the very end of that, then they'll do a final walkthrough, and then the new owner will basically take possession officially and move in. So you might need this in this market because of the double-edged sword of the low inventory. When you're selling, it's very easy. When you're buying, it's another thing. So if you're doing both simultaneously, that can be complicated. And that's why we have this handy tool in order to help you navigate through these choppy real estate waters, and somebody like myself to assist. So this is just one thing and one strategy you can use. But if you are selling and buying and your realtor is not talking about the potential of a post-closing possession, then I think you're being misguided. That's just the truth. So to help make this transition as efficient as possible, that's what we want to be able to provide to you with our real estate strategy call. So if you are interested in that or you want to learn more about how this pertains to your exact situation, just feel free to click the Zoom link down below. We'll get that scheduled through my Calendly, and we'll hop on and we'll talk about your situation and how we can potentially help and to devise a bulletproof strategy for you to move forward with. So I hope this has been helpful. I know it's a little bit there's a lot of ins and outs, might be a little confusing. I hope I've been able to kind of simplify it a little bit, giving you the real world example. But if so, please like this video, comment down below, and be sure to hit the subscribe button so that you can catch all of our future videos. Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next video.